Hello, this is the World of Book Reviews, and I'm Judy Mario, your host, and tonight we have an incredibly interesting guest, Dr. Joyce Brown, and we're going to be talking about her book, God's Heavenly Answers. And this is an incredible book about near-death experience, and it's interesting. I've been reading this book, and it is interesting. So Dr. Joyce, welcome. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Please tell us about your book. Please tell my audience about what you wrote and why.
I'd love to do that. Thank you for the opportunity. When I was about 8 years old, from then on, I was very suicidal. And I just wanted to die and go to the other side. And then I actually was very ill and actually went to the other side, and it was a shocking experience for me. One of the reasons I wrote the book is because there's so much suicide in the world. And I was waiting for someone else to come out with some answers for it, and they didn't. And so I decided that I needed to share some of my experience. Suicide rates are just skyrocketing from the age of 5 on up. In fact, in the Rocky Mountains, it's the leading cause of death between 10 and 24. And people just think that's all they have to do is just give up instead of make it through their problems. When I went to the other side, it was a very shocking experience for me. I was very ill. I didn't commit suicide. But when I was there, I discovered that if someone's time to go, they go home to a great celebration. But for me, when I had a life review, I saw that I had given up. I hadn't made it through problems. And so it was a terrible experience for me. I experienced horrific mental anguish and great regrets. I didn't know I could come back. And I kept begging to come back, even though it seemed the answer was no. And there were many things I was shown. As an example, how important it is to be loving or kind or forgiving. I used to be really big into justice. I thought all you had to do was find out who was right or wrong, and some great justice took place. No, and when I was on the other side, I realized I didn't want justice, I wanted some mercy, but I would have had to have given it. And as I said, I didn't know I could come back. It was really difficult.
And how old were you at that time?
I was about 49 then, and I'd had repeated pneumonia. I was allergic to all the antibiotics. I was bedridden with rheumatoid arthritis. When the doctor told me I was going to be dying because there was nothing more they could do for me, hey, I was more thrilled than somebody else if they won tickets to the lottery. I wasn't going to have to kill myself. I could just die and go to that place of peace. There's no such thing as an unearned peace. Life is what happens while we're busy making other plans. And we're here like a test. And I just need to share this with people because there's so much give-up-itis in the world. But, you know, we just don't really know and remember. But as we go through school, the harder the classes, the more the benefits. And it's really here and we don't realize it. I've had a lot of things happen. I've been in car accidents. I've had 8 major back surgeries that failed. I've lost most of my vision. But it's not what's gone that counts. It's what we have left and how we use it. And they say to me, how come you get so many problems? And I know that problems are blessings. So I say, I'm just extra blessed. So I just really needed to share this because, as I said, suicide rates are skyrocketing. I see people taking a lot of drugs, being told to do long-term counseling, whereas if they can take all the drugs that someone wants to give them, but if they have the attitude, they have so much pain. Now I'm not God, I can't judge everyone, but they just want to get away from the pain. So, but if they realize they're not going to get away from the pain, they can take it with them. They may take it with them, and that it could be worse. And this is the only time to really have the opportunity to learn and grow and make it through problems. It changes their mind, but until they change their attitude, most of the time, they still maybe go for drugs or alcohol and don't realize, you know, Judy, we all began dying the day we were born. And we never know when our time will be up and cut short. And time and how we use it is so important. And now I know that. And so it's not that I'm afraid. I'm 84 now. And I'm not afraid to die, but the next time I die, I want peace of mind. And the way I will have peace of mind is how many people I've been able to help here.
And how will we know if someone is around us, how will we know if they're suicidal, if they want to kill themselves?
You know, that is a great question. In fact, I've just made a flyer and put out, how do you know if somebody is going to commit suicide? I put the answer kind of in the middle of the flyer so they kind of look through it a little bit because I want them to see some of the other information, things they can do for anger management, unique coping techniques. But the answer is no one knows for sure. You really don't know for sure. Some of the people who seem the happiest out there, because they've decided they're going to go. As an example, sometimes suicide they do for such small reasons too. As an example, Robert, this is a true story. Robert, who was I changed his name, a very popular high school student. He was 17-year-old, he committed suicide. Why? His parents were devastated when they read his suicide note. He said he couldn't face them anymore because he was no longer a straight-A student. He got a B on his report card and committed suicide. We just never know.
No, no. And let me ask you this question, because I know it's one that I've wondered about, and I know a lot of people do. When you do cross over to that other side, is there like a long tunnel? Is there light? What kind of experience do you go through in the getting over there?
You know, that is a very good question, too. The International Association of Near-Death Studies, of which I'm a member, has had over 13 million near-death experiences reported, and everybody's experiences are as different as their fingerprints. Some go through a tunnel, some see a white light. For me, it was instant. All of a sudden, I was on the other side looking down at my body. You know, you see yourself in the mirror, you've never really seen yourself as a round person, and it was a big shock. So it's really kind of different. We don't know for sure.
You don't know for sure. Are our pets there? I mean, when we go there,
oh, that's
are we
a good
see
question.
Our pets?
They are. Our pets are there. And another thing that's interesting, I truly was on the other side. I did experience these things. And I'm very glad to have the opportunity to share it. But if pets, many people don't realize, they don't take good care of them. They think of them as maybe dumb animals because they don't talk to us where we understand. On the other side, they can communicate. And we will have our pets in heaven.
Oh, interesting. We'll talk about that when we come back. We're going to take a short break now, and we'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome back to the World of Book Reviews. Tonight my guest is Dr. Joyce Brown, and we are talking about her book, God's Heavenly Answers. I've been reading this book, and it is incredibly interesting. It's all about near-death experiences and about some of her experiences and about dealing with people who are suicidal. And Dr. Joyce is a real expert in this field, and so we were just talking about animals and are they on the other side, and she said, over there they communicate. Now I want to know, do they actually talk to you and tell you how they felt when they were here?
Well, they're not limited on their communication over there. The other thing is interesting on the other side that I discovered is everything's known. You don't have to speak. Everything's just known. And so I didn't really get into a deep conversation with them, but I did understand how they can communicate. And many people who are mean to them they're going to be very surprised when they get over there.
Oh.
And those who are really good with them and love them, they're going to know and be able to express the love over there.
But I would think that if they were really mean to animals, they wouldn't get to go there.
Well, everyone's going to be at a different place. I'm not sure where all they'll go. That's true, but they're going to be surprised.
Yeah, they will be. Now, when you were there, did you have a choice as to whether you came back or not?
You know, that was what was so horrific, because it seemed it was over, and it seemed I had no choice. That was what's so terrible. My life was cut short. What was done was done. What was written or not written was written or not written. And seeing it and how much more I wanted to do instead of wasting my life like that. I've been a sponge for knowledge ever since. I've been a sponge for knowledge ever since. But then all of a sudden, I was back in my body. I wasn't that wispy thing anymore. I could feel my face. And I found and was shown the answer as to why I was so ill and why I had died. And so that was a big, it was over, it was over.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So you were shown the answers to why you were so
I was shown.
ill, and were you able to not be ill after that?
You know, I was shown this big gold crown tooth, and I knew everything about that tooth. It had something to do with my being so ill and dying and going to the other side. I never even had a toothache, and I was shown that just before I came back. And then I rallied back in a few days and had my mom take me to the dentist, and I told him, you have to pull the tooth, and he says, nothing showed on the x-ray. And he says, does it hurt? And I said, no. He said, well, I can't pull a perfectly good gold crown tooth. So he had his attorney prepare a paper taking away his legal liability. After that tooth was pulled, almost immediately it was like electrical needles coming out of each pore. The next day, I started feeling better. In 2 to 3 weeks, the arthritis was gone. I mean, it was a miracle. I truly did die, and I have my proof there. You know? Mm-hmm. And one of the proofs that I have on there I really like is God real? Well, other people may have their answers, but I have mine. And after 35 more years of living life differently, and I totally changed, I am still here, and I think that's the greatest proof.
I think that is too. I have asked that question myself in my lifetime and had the answer shown to me. And so once you get it, you get it.
That's true. You get it.
Yeah.
My life is totally different for me now. Whatever I can do to help someone else. And sometimes it takes a little courage to say, oh, I'm still here in spite of that one. We just have to keep going, because we never know when life is going to be cut short.
I know. Now, where's your dog?
My little dog, my driver has him out there.
Okay, because I don't think I've ever seen you before without that dog.
They said it. She might make a little noise, but she's so cute.
Oh, she would have been darling. I think the audience would have loved to have seen her. We'll have to have you come back.
Okay, I would love to do that. And she is so good. She is so precious.
Yeah, I don't think she ever makes a noise, does
she? Doesn't. In fact, when I was at the seminar this weekend, someone, that's a real dog. They thought she was just a toy because
they
she's so
thought
good.
She was a stuffed
and then,
animal?
she kind of has her own little fan club, like she's in today, a pretty purple tutu dress, and she's just a little 6.5-pound chihuahua.
Yeah,
she loves the limelight.
She's a cutie, isn't she?
Thank you for having me, Judy. This has been great.
What was the most important lesson you got out of that experience?
The most important lesson was how important it is to be here and to be loving, kind, giving, and merciful. And life is too short to hold grudges. It's too short to be angry. We just can't waste time. It's just like I have a large hourglass that sometimes I take when I give talks and show the sands of time are running out. And we never know when it's going to be cut short. And to make the most of it, and to be loving and kind and to leave a good example, and to do what we can to help this world be a better place. As Helen Keller says, we're each only one, but we are one. We can't do everything, but we can do something. And I believe if I can help other people to understand, to share the message, what if it's not better for where you are than where you are now? So I encourage people, please share the message. What if it's not, to someone who's feeling suicidal, what if it's not better than where you are now? Think about it. Time is so short.
Time is short, isn't it? And our time is growing short too. I'm sorry, because I'm so enjoying this interview with you. Thank you so much. I love the book. I'm sure that our viewing audience is going to love it too. It truly, near-death experience was life-changing for you, and it was for me as well. And I just really think it's important that people read a book like this and understand the things that you're sharing with us. And
Thank you.
Will you please tell my audience how they can get in touch with you if they'd like to talk to you, or if they'd like to get a copy of your book?
You bet. The book is available on Amazon and Kindle, but it's also available on the website is helpstopsuicide.org. My email is askdrjoyce@yahoo.com, and my phone number is 877-Dr. Joyce.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And you can watch any of the shows that my producer, Amy Kardashian, produces on akexperttv.com. All of these shows, like this show tonight with Dr. Joyce, and Stephanie Thompson's shows and Amy's shows are all archived on akexperttv.com. So please go there and you can watch the show again if you would like. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.